أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون لا يستوي أصحاب النار وأصحاب الجنة أصحاب الجنة هم الفائزون صدق الله العلي العظيم. It's my distinct pleasure to be among you tonight in this beautiful foundation, beautiful hotel. And thank you to my brother Tufail Akbar, and also to my friend and a brother Muslim, Mumtaz Muslim, for contacting me and inviting me to be in this beautiful place tonight with these beautiful faces. And I hope, inshallah, the Baron Hotel will be a source of happiness and pride for all the Zuwar and for the city of Karbala, because Mr. Mumtaz, he made a great sacrifice by investing here in this area. He did a great service to the city of Karbala. We have to acknowledge that. It's a risk. Someone brings millions of dollars to a country where peace was not completely established. You know, for 3 years, the Iraqis were fighting Daesh, more than 3 years. But he took this courageous step to invest because he had faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and definitely he has love for Imam Hussein alayhi salam. So we thank him for investing in the city of Karbala, beautifying the city, making the Baron one of the beautiful landmarks of the city of Karbala. When they were building this, my father's house is here, walking distance from the hotel. So when I used to come to Karbala, I would ask people, what is this building? Someone tells me this is a hospital. Someone says maybe the Prime Minister is building, palace for himself. Nobody knew that this is a building. It was a mystery. Then, after probably 1 or 2 years, we saw the sign, the Baron Hotel. So I was excited. I said, Alhamdulillah, in this area we're going to have a 5-star or 7-star hotel. So please convey our regards and salam and thanks to him, inshallah. And inshallah, Fariba will make sure that our next trip, probably in April, will be here. We will stay here. Because you're going to have dinner, remember, tonight. Many people ask, why do you go for ziyarah? Why do you spend money, take time from your job, your family, your business, to go for a ziyarah? We know Hajj is important. Hajj is mandatory, at least once in your lifetime for those who are able. But why the ziyarah? Many people ask. People who are hungry, people who are sick, people who are homeless, people who are hopeless, then of course you're going to be touched by that. Sometimes it's a family issue within your family. The relationship is not good with the spouse. The relationship is not good with the children, with the siblings, with the partners. So it happens. Sometimes it's poverty. Sometimes it's lack of guidance, lack of good friends in the society, lack of direction, clear direction. Sometimes we get confused. So these things happen. And we should not give up. Some people, they resort to suicide because they are hopeless and sometimes helpless, they resort to suicide. They kill themselves. In Europe, it's the highest. In America, it's very high, the rate of suicide. And it happens sometimes among the Muslim community. You think suicide is only for non-Muslims? No, this is not right. I've been called many times to pray over a janazah of a young person who killed himself, who killed herself in the Muslim community. So it happens. So one of the ways for remedies is the ziyarah. Ziyarah is the main source of inspiration in our life. Main source of strength and power. And we need it. When you come and prepare yourself mentally for the ziyarah, when you prepare yourself, when you take your time, when you reflect. Sometimes a person comes and he thinks ziyarah is to just get a book and recite something in Arabic. Whether I know it or I understand it or not, it doesn't matter. And then I do 2 rak'ah and I leave. Maybe they get reward. Maybe, definitely they get reward. But they are not going to get inspiration. Inspiration is only when you understand what you say. Inspiration is only when you connect with the Imam. I was telling a friend the other day that you might stand in front of the Imam in his shrine for 3 hours. You might read 40 pages, but you might not get inspired. You might not get touched or moved. But sometimes you go there for 5 minutes and the connection takes place. Connection. It's like the Wi-Fi. Sometimes we have. Here in the Baron is very good, alhamdulillah. Thank you. In some hotels it's not good. Yeah. So it happens, the connection. Sometimes this connection is 30 seconds, believe me. It takes only 30 seconds, but the connection is very strong. That's it. This is a source of inspiration. So it's all in here, in your mind, in your brain, if you want to connect with the Imam. We need to do a lot of reflection, a lot of meditation. I know a convert who came to visit the shrine of Imam Hussein from America. She's originally from England, but she lived in America. She told me when I went, this is my first time visiting the shrine of Imam Hussein, someone who took me, he said, you know what? If this mausoleum is removed and they open the grave, you will see the body of Imam Hussein being cut into pieces. One of the checkpoints, the officer told the driver, he said to him, listen, I'm not going to ask you anything about the passengers, only give me some water, I'm thirsty. And this is winter now, it's not summer. The soldier was standing at the checkpoint. He was thirsty, so he was begging for water. And Abu Majid, where is Abu Majid? You gave him. He gave him 2 bottles. I said to myself, Imam Hussein, during the heat here, with his family, with his children, for at least 48 hours, from the 8th of Muharram until the 10th, the moment that he was killed. At least 48 hours with no water. With his family, with his women, with his children, with his army. This is not easy, my friends. And then his brother Al-Abbas alayhi salam, he arrives into the riverette here, Al-Alqami, which is a branch of the Euphrates, and he had access to the water and he was able to drink, and he brings the water very close. Imagine yourself very thirsty, and you bring the cup, and then you remember, no, I gave a promise to at least 83 women and children in my camp, and I can't enjoy the drink. This is muasat. This is solidarity. This is standing with the people, with my people. I don't drink. Though I have access to the water, and I am thirsty, and I have every right to drink, but I'm not going to do that. We have to reflect. When we come to the ziyarah, we have to reflect about Imam Hussein, his family, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, the children of Imam Hussein, the companions of Imam Hussein. One of them is Habib, who's 96 years old. 96 years old, Habib ibn Mudahir. It's an age where he should stay at home. They serve him, they protect him, they take care of him. He said, no, I'm not going to stay at home. I'm not going to leave my master alone. And the youngest one is 6 months old, Ali al-Asghar, or Abdullah. Abdullah al-Radi', the baby, the infant, 6 months old. So we have to come here to reflect. Once you reflect, you click. And if that click takes place, you get inspired. You go back home with becoming more resilient, more adamant, to begin a new life, to begin a new chapter in your life, to work harder, to study harder, to serve harder your family, your community, your country. So this is number one. Number one benefit of the ziyarah is when we are down, when we are sometimes confused, when we are frustrated, when we are unhappy with our situation, with our families, we come here and we learn from Imam Hussein and his family. We learn that life is too short. And in order for you to survive, you have to do something positive in your life. You must do something positive. You must give. If you don't give, you're going to lose. You're going to lose. You have to sacrifice. If you don't sacrifice, you are one of the losers. And this is in the Quran. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. We are in constant loss except who have faith, and those who give, and those who work, and those who sacrifice. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So this is number one. Number two,
love them. They are attached to them. And the Quran, when the Quran speaks about Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he says the Prophet is not just a messenger. He's not just a messenger who's passing the book to us, but he's a role model too. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. He's a role model. You need to have a role model in your life. You need to look at someone, an example right in front of your eyes, so you can follow him. And Imam Hussein is a role model for the men. His sister Zainab is a role model for the sisters, for women. The young ones, Ali al-Akbar is a role model for the youth. Al-Qasim is a role model for the youth. Abdullah, the infant, is a role model for the babies. Sukaina alayhi salam is a role model for the young girls. It's a role model. We need to look at them. Without a role model, we will go into the wrong direction. God says, I have created. Why did God create prophets? He could have inspired us without having intermediaries, without having prophets and messengers and apostles. In your dream, in your sleep, God will send you the message. He can inspire you. He can do that. It's not difficult for him. But he says, I'm sending messengers to be role models. So you look at their example. You follow their footsteps. You look at them right before your eyes. You learn from them. They hold your hand. So Imam Hussein is a role model, and we need the role model. We need to get introduced to him. The family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The family of the Prophet, many of you know the story. Imam Ali, Fatima al-Zahra, Hassan and Hussein, and their servant Fidda, a lady, noble lady who was working with them and helping them. They spent 3 nights with no food. And this is dangerous, not just difficult, it's dangerous. It's dangerous to leave your kids 3 days with no food. It's very dangerous. Ask any doctor. They will tell you it's dangerous. But for the sake of God, nothing is dangerous and nothing is impossible. they can do it. God will give us the help. 3 days. وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. At the time of breaking their fast, someone knocks at the door. This is test by God. It's not a coincidence. No, it's a test. It was done on purpose by God. That beggar does not come before or after. He comes exactly on time. At the time where they are ready to pick up the bread and eat it, he knocks at the door. He says, I don't have food. So they give him the food the first day, the second day, the third day. Now sometimes parents can sacrifice. How about the kids? One of them is 4 years old. One of them is 5 years old. That incident, my friends, when they left their kids with no food, when Imam Hussein was ready to give his share of food for 3 consecutive days, that incident groomed him and it prepared him for the day of Ashura, to give his soul, to give his blood. Because people do not turn into becoming generous overnight. Doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. It takes time. And it begins when we are children, when we are young. So the parents were grooming their children when they were young to give the food. When he was ready to give his food for 3 days and go hungry for 3 days, then he was ready to give his life for the sake of God. And it was not difficult for him. It wasn't difficult for him, Imam Hussein. People think that, well, Imam Hussein was forced to do this. No, 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 no. It's not about force. Imam Hussein said, this is the will of God, and I'm going to listen to God. I'm going to fulfill the wish of my Lord. So this is the second. We need a role model in our life. Sometimes God says, you have to share. Share your food. Share your clothing. Share your medicine.
What's the difference? The difference is not physical. The difference is spiritual. Someone who has faith in God, he has a power of resistance. So if a tragedy takes place, he does not lose himself. While someone who has no faith in God is going to lose himself. Why? Because that one, the first one, the observant, the faithful, he trained himself. He prepared himself for the departure. We know that we are not staying here for long. We are guests, just like the Baron Hotel. You check in, and after check-in you have to check out. This is life. This is life, my friends. We have checked into this life. Definitely one day we have to check out. So don't get attached to this life. Prepare yourself for the next. Make an investment for the next. This is the difference between believer and non-believer. The believer does not have attachment. He don't want to do anything. This is the pharmacy. This is the doctor's office here, the shrine of Imam Hussein, our Imams. But when we come with understanding, with appreciation, with reflection, not that someone is pushing you, no. You spend money, you leave your family, your business, you make an appointment with Imam Hussein. Before you leave your house, I'm coming because you are my doctor, you are my healer, through the power of God. This is not shirk, because some people say, hey, this is shirk. Where is God? No, God is there, definitely. Imam Hussein is the agent of God. And this is my third point, my friends. We come to visit Imam Hussein because we need shafa'ah of Imam Hussein, the intercession of Imam Hussein. We need someone to get me closer to God, to show me the way. In the ziyarah, what do we say in the ziyarah? Allahumma inni law wajadtu shufa'a. Who knows the ziyarah? Allahumma, my Lord. Inni, if I find, inni law wajadtu shufa'a aqraba ilayka min Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. If I can find some people who are closer to you than Muhammad and Al Muhammad and his family, I would follow them.
but I did not find. I did not find in my life. I searched extensively. I could not find people closer to God than the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family. If I find someone, believe me, I run after him. But I could not find. And I'm not saying this emotionally, out of experience. This is why we need to find Hussein to stand there. I said to the friends today, we were going to visit the Hur. Hur was a very decorated military commander, powerful man in Kufa, very successful, very accomplished. So when he fell down and he switched the last minute, he switched 180 degrees. When he fell down, his uncles, his tribe, his friends, his family members were standing. He never called upon any one of them. He didn't say, "Oh, Daddy, come here," "Oh, my brother," "Oh, my cousin," "Oh, my uncle." He said, "Ya Aba Abdullah, I want you to come. You are my master. Yes, I have a family, but my relationship with you is different. You are my companion. You are my leader." And this is exactly what we should say at the time of death and before the time of death. When you say now from the bottom of your heart, when you scream, "Ya Aba Abdullah," believe me, you're going to say this. You're going to say this at the time when we're going to see Malakul Maut. I tell you two stories. One story, today we had another group who left for Najaf this morning from America. A mother was here who lost her daughter. She was physician. She was very successful. She was #1 in her class at the time of graduation. She graduated from medical school at the age of 26, but she died at the age of 27, 1 year after graduation. And guess what? She died in the hospital itself where she was working. She left the hospital, she was going to the parking lot to her car, suddenly she fell down, and she had a massive heart attack, and she died at the age of 27. The mother is distraught, is restless. Even this morning, believe me, Fariba was there. She said, "Sayyid, I've been 5 times to Ziyarah, but I'm still confused. I can't see my way. Tell me, give me dua. Tell me something to bring me peace." It's not easy. This lady, a friend of her, when she heard about the story, she started praying. She came to Karbala here, the shrine of Imam Hussein. She prayed for this mother, for this beleaguered mother. She prayed for her in the shrine of Imam Hussein. So this mother, who was here in Karbala this morning, she says, "I went to bed and I saw a dream. I saw a dream that the body of my daughter, who's buried in Michigan, has been transferred to the shrine of Imam Hussein here." Saying the first thing they would say, "Ya Aba Abdullah, please, I need you now. Now, I gave my life for you, for Islam, for God. I want you to stand with me." Imam Hussein would rush. You know, on the day of Ashura, Imam Hussein, how many times he went into the battlefield and he came back to his camp, back and forth, back. You know how many times? More than 70 times. More than 70 times. Each person who falls down, Imam Hussein would rush to him before he dies. He would greet him. He would smile in his face. So, this, we need the shafa'ah of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. We need it, my friends. Another story, and I conclude. Is that okay? Takes 2 minutes. Seven years ago, we have to say loud salawats. To stop snoring, we have to say loud salawats. Sometimes the snoring is like music. Not always bad, sometimes it's good. Sometimes. So, 7 years ago, I was giving a lecture in London, England. It was the 7th night of Muharram. Usually the Arab community, especially the Iraqi community, they dedicate the 7th night to Abu al-Fadl Abbas. In Iran, they dedicate the 9th, Shab Tasu'a. But the Arab community, the eve of the 7th. And the Husayniyah was packed and I was speaking. And the following day, on the 8th, and I told them about the story of Abbas alayhi salam, how he was thirsty, how he got to the river and he threw the water out of his hand and he went back. On the way, they severed his arms and they killed him. On the 8th, I finished my lecture. I was about to leave to visit a patient. They said they shut the hospital at 10 p.m. So I was rushing myself to visit that patient before they closed the hospital's door. And it was very cold, freezing, 7 years ago in London. A man came to me, he said, Sayyid, please. He didn't say Sayyid, he said Sheikh. Sheikh, please, I want to speak to you. I said to him, can we postpone this until tomorrow? He said, something urgent. I said, then walk with me to the car, because I can't stay, I have another appointment. He said, Sayyid, while we were going to the car, he said, Sheikh, not Sayyid. He said, Sheikh, I'm a Sunni Muslim, and I am 55 years old. Last night, for the very first time in my life, I come to the Husayniyah to listen to the majalis, the sessions of Ashura. Very first time in my life. I have not been to Ashura before. And I came and I sat there and you were speaking about Abbas. I'm a Muslim. I pray, but I never heard the story of Abbas. I know about Ahlulbayt. We love Ahlulbayt. But I never heard about the story of Abbas and how he was killed. Why did they kill him? Isn't he related to the Prophet? Isn't he the son of Imam Ali? Why those vicious people killed him? And all what he wanted to do is to bring water to his camp. So he says, I started crying and crying and crying. I went home. My wife opened the door. She said, your eyes are red. What happened? Did you have a fight today in your shop? I said, no. Did you have an argument? I said, no. She said, you cried. I said, leave me alone, please. I didn't tell her. I told her nothing. I went into the bedroom. But he says, my heart was broken. I was angry. I was frustrated. I was disappointed. How come the Muslim Ummah murders Abbas alayhi salam? What are we going to tell his grandfather tomorrow? Imam Ali, the Prophet. Are we going to stand before them and tell them we are Muslims? So he says, with this sadness, I went to bed. He says, Shaykh, Wallah, I swear by God, that night, I saw Imam Hussein coming to me 10 times in my dream. 10 times. Not 1 or 2. Each time he comes, I look at him, he smiles, he goes, I wake up. I go to bed. The second time he comes, I wake up. The third time, the fourth time, 10 times. He says, Sayyid, tell me what happened. What is the interpretation of this dream? What does this dream say? I said to him, this dream is mentioned in the Quran. Allah says, Man ja'a bil hasanati falahu ashru amthaliha. You made a hasana today. That night, you went to the majlis, to the session, with a pure intention to learn. So you stood in solidarity with Ahlulbayt, with Imam Hussein. Imam Hussein is returning the favor to you tenfolds. Tenfolds. This means that Imam Hussein and Allah above him, they accepted your amal when you went, your deed, when you went to the majlis of Imam Hussein. Allah has accepted that. وأشهد أن محمد رسول الله وأشهد أن عليا ولي الله. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ziyarah inshallah and our a'mal.
and to put that in our diwan, inshallah, in our file, so we can see this, inshallah, on the Day of Judgment. And we ask Allah, inshallah, that Imam Hussein will be our intercessor, our shafi', inshallah, at the time of death in the grave and on the Day of Judgment, inshallah. Thank you so much for Mr. Tufail Akbar and Mr. Mumtaz Muslim, and for the Baron Hotel, the management, for those who came tonight for this lecture, for the participants. And inshallah, we hope that this series will continue, people will benefit, people will enjoy, because ziyarah is about awareness, is about learning. This is a learning process for us. And learning, we have to know the facts. So thank you for hosting us tonight. May Allah protect you and bless you, inshallah, all. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا. واجعلنا اللهم من أنصاره وأعوانه. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين.